Okay, so basically, this is what you want to get if you get a project bike. You want to start out with something that's complete and that's not missing parts. This thing's dirty and it's got some rust spots that I gotta address. It's an 81 gs650e, and this is your basic Japanese resto mod build. And we'll get into like the crazy stuff later, doing choppers and stuff like that. But I want to start out easy projects. Now, few things. This thing runs, and it actually runs pretty good. It has one carburetor that for some reason is set way too high. The last guy that worked on this motorcycle had no clue what they were doing, and I had all kinds of stuff I had to fix on this thing. They had actually taken in, whatever you do, vent tubes, they got a vent under the bike. Leave them alone. It had a bad petcock, so it was leaking gas, and instead of, they thought that, we'll just plug the vent tubes and it'll stop the gas leak. Well, it filled up the engine full of gasoline, so I had to drain it down. I run, generally in these older bikes, I run 1540, but on certain engines I don't recommend it. But like this thing, I've been running 1540 in it. It runs fine, but now it's having problems with the carburetor tuning, so we're gonna address that. Carbs are gonna come off. I got pod filters for it. We're gonna get rid of the airbox. The airbox was notorious for being problematic on this specific bike. Now, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this. See, this happened because they never put the tube on the battery, and the battery had boiled over, I guess, and leaked, and it rusted this. But 8283 uses an aluminum bracket, so I don't know if I'm gonna clean this, scrape scrub it and paint it, or find another chrome one because this is the only one that's messed up, or get the aluminum brackets. But the mufflers I have that I'll replace these with, they actually go right to the stock brackets, which is very, very nice. The MGO replacements. I got a new chain for this thing. The sprockets are great because this bike has super low miles on it, but that chain is just, it's not an O-ring chain. It's all messed up. The airbox has all kinds of leaks. It doesn't function properly, so we're just gonna rejet it, put the compensators in the front of the carbs, and redo all that stuff. So that should be good. This is an odd bike because it makes 73 horsepower stock, which was more than the 750 did. The 750 made 71 horsepower stock, so it was kind of an interesting thing that this bike actually had more power and was faster than the 750. So yeah, I changed the turn signals. I went to a smaller turn signal that looks kind of stock. The turn signals were all broken on this when I got it. It had a badass better fairing on it. This little small one. It's not a Rooster. I don't remember what it is, but I have the fairing, but it's all broken. This bike had fallen over and it broke all that stuff. And so I got some Napoleon replicas for the mirrors. I like having mirrors. A lot of guys will eliminate them, but you know what? I've had too many close calls where people have almost hit me from behind, so I like having the stock style mirrors. I got the lower style bars. This is something that I see a lot of guys run Clubmans, and if you're not running, I mean, this thing has factory setback pegs. They're almost like rear sets, but not quite that far back. But if you're running a Clubman style bar, you really need to put rear sets because of the way you sit on the bike. But one of the issues I find with that is you have very little control in a corner. And I mean, I've been riding since I was 8, so I just like a higher bar. You know, the other one I see guys run is the English style bar, which the English style bar actually comes up further forward and has more of a it's a little more aggressive forward, which is fine if you're a taller guy. Those are great. Just I'm really short, so like for me, these sit perfect where I need them to be at. Usually I do lower seats. I have a lady that does all my seats, but on this bike I really didn't need to lower the seat too much, and I like the padding, so I left it alone. It didn't need to go too much lower. This bike is kind of odd in the fact that it's very low from the top section compared to a 750, because the engine's shorter, but it's really weird because it uses a 550 case on one side, 750 case on the other, and then it uses a 550 style barrel with a really unique cylinder head to the 650e, which is crazy. It's got crazy port technology in it at the time. So this bike was very, very fast. I mean, out of the box, they ran 12-second or lower quarter mile times. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, even by today's standards, a lot of bikes aren't really as fast as people think they are. They're fast top end, but you know, in a quarter mile, these things would rip up the quarter mile with the big bikes, and that was what was cool about them. So I need to get rid of them junk IRC tires. They're old, they're all stress cracked, they need to go. So this bike is going to be a labor of love. I'm missing the heat shield on the other side, so I'm just going to header wrap my pipes, get the heat off the motor. That does serve a function. People always go, oh, header wrap, it's just this and that, but what it really does is it keeps the heat from blowing up into your engine. And people don't realize that any little thing you can do with an air-cooled engine like this, you know, is good. I have a Lockhart oil cooler that came off of a 750 drag bike that we had, but I don't think I'm going to run it. I was looking at it, and it's been vibrated just way too much, and I think that bike had some big cams in it or something, or it just didn't run very good because it was that thing is pretty rubbed up. But yeah, this is what you want to start with. Complete bike. It has everything there. Only thing I changed is the bars, the turn signals, and you can get radical with something like this if you want to. You know, you can do the Brat style tail and everything. What you have to keep in mind though is I see a lot of guys doing Brat style bikes, and then they run into problems with tire clearance, right? So what ends up happening is this tire is meant to travel all the way up into the frame, and if you do that, keep in mind that you want to keep it as high as possible, or keep it away from the tire, because what eventually happens is if you really ride this thing, you're gonna cycle that suspension up, and that tire's gonna hit. And my buddy's done that on a 750 a few times, and you know, I'm just like I just shake my head. I go, you know, sometimes it's better to leave certain things alone. But yeah, this is my one project that I got out of quite a few projects I have that I'm going to finish. I have this. I may or may not. I'm going to ask my dad about maybe getting the 850 off of him, since he's not doing anything with it, and maybe I'll do that in exchange for getting his Goldwing going. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But he rides around in a ZN 1300, and anybody that knows the ZKZ bikes knows the 1300's a maniac of a bike. But anyways, yeah, so this is it. I'm not exactly perfectly straight here with the camera, but it's because I can't see the camera real well. So anyways, yeah, this is what you want to start with. Find a bike that's complete. Don't find a complete rust bucket. Like I was saying in an earlier video, if the bike is, you know, keep in mind that bike might be $150, but it might be $2,500 to get it on the road versus a $1,200 bike that runs. So just keep that in mind. This thing ran, but it had all kinds of issues, and had I known that, I probably would have talked the guy down a little bit more on the price. But it's a clean bike. I mean, I can't complain too much. He did deliver it, so that was the bonus on that. So it's getting there. I just haven't had too much time. I gotta put new dust seals on the top of this, and I kind of like the front fender. I really didn't like it when I first got it, and I wanted to change it for a different style GS fender, but you know, it's kind of grown on me because you don't see these. And I mean, it's got its little flaws. It was mint when it came over my house, but this happened. Somebody dropped something into it, and then that happened, and that just fucking irritates the shit out of me because I hate rust. But this is all gonna go anyways. I'm gonna fix this. I'm probably gonna get the aluminum ones. So that, probably do the shocks. Tires definitely gonna go. I'm gonna check those bearings if they're bad and replace them. But bike, it doesn't have that many miles on it. It's got, look, 26,000, and it starts. Let me see if I can get it to start. Hold on. Yeah, but it doesn't run real well. Runs like a sick dog. Let's see if I can get it started again. Hold on. So yeah, oh, can't get the camera to focus. Things on the lens. There we go. But yeah, so it runs. It doesn't run well. And number one thing to do, rebuild these petcocks. Rebuild it or get a new one, because that's the number one problem with these bikes. When they sit, those diaphragms, they break and they leak, and they'll cause you all kinds of headache down the road. So anyways, stay tuned.